Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and I'm very excited to bring you another episode of 5 Things. So, we're trying to be topical on this show, and just recently the Outriders demo came out. We've been covering it on the channel. There is a wonderful stream where me and Philbilly try it for the first time. Plus, I did a review on it. But now, I decided to do a deep dive on the community, talk to the people who have gotten a chance to play it, just to find out what they want to see out of the official release. Now, as I have said previously, little bit of housekeeping. Anytime we get comments on this show, I have promised to basically read those comments from the previous episode, just because I like to communicate with the people out there and see what they're saying and read them back. We're a very communicative show. That being said, we had a comment on our last 5 things. Our last 5 things being Monster Hunter World 2, what we wanted to see from that. Kev Tutal said, Phil's 2-piece idea, a great way to limit would be only one of said gem, amulet, shard, item equipped at a time, giving the freedom to use 2 other pieces of gear. I think that getting 2 gear set bonuses would be really hard to balance. To which Philbilly and I responded to that. Just for the record, and I should have been clear in the video itself, but we never meant for you'd be able to use 2 full set bonuses. The idea was you could only get 1 full set bonus, but it wouldn't lock down your armor to a point of 3 full sets of armor. Like, we want to maybe mix and match the base powers and the base abilities and skills you get from the armors a little bit more than to get that set bonus, locking it down with the 3 pieces. Never wanted to get a second piece set, so it would only ever be 1 set of gear, 1 gear, 1 set bonus, but it would allow you to mix and match skills just a little bit more. So, just a little bit clarification on my end, and I apologize, I should have been a little bit better on that. So, with housekeeping on the way, we've played the demo, we want to talk about Outriders. The thing with this game, and the thing with doing the 5 things, it's a little bit tricky because we kind of know everything that's going to be in there for more or less. So I really had to think to myself, what do we want to make this video about? Do we want to just repeat the things that we kind of already know are in there? Do we want to talk about things that we definitely know aren't in there? So what I decided to do is I decided to focus on things we don't directly have confirmation that we're getting, and I also want to focus on things that we know we're not getting, but we'd like to see in the immediate future, maybe a little bit after the full release. So that's what we're going to look at here today. And in the video, 5 things we want to see from the Outriders full release. Alright, so let's get into it. But before we start our little number game, I do want to say my experience with the Outriders demo has been wonderful. Of course, a game like this, a lot of it goes into the end game, a lot of it goes into what the end game is going to look like. But from the 4 hours that I've played, I have had nothing but fun. It's been incredibly exciting, and I've gone back to it more than I thought I would after having beaten it multiple times now. So I'm really excited to see what People Can Fly are going to bring us, and I truly think the looter-shooter genre needs a little new blood. Destiny 2 is fine, and it's been going for many years. It's not my bag, but there's a lot of people who love it. However, I do think it's getting a little bit stale. Warframe's good, but it's free to play, and it's kind of operating in its own space. So, Borderlands has kind of started to fall off, and we all know Anthem's dead. So we really need another game in this looter-shooter space. And the real question is whether People Can Fly can bring us the experience that we want in full release. Nonetheless, the demo itself is great, and I do want to applaud People Can Fly for the demo. I've said this in all my videos, and it bears repeating. Every AAA game that comes out should have one of these things. A nice 4-hour demo, your progress carries over into the full game. It is a wonderful thing to behold. I now know that my money is well spent on a pre-order. I don't have to worry about taking it back, and I don't have to worry about trying to get a refund in a system that's made to stop that sort of thing. I got one final disclaimer before we get into the numbering, and that is the numbering of these things are not in any particular order of priority. They are just as I say them, as I read them off a sheet. So none of them are more important or less important than the other ones. Alright, so we're going to start off a little wild. We're going to start off with a little bit more of a bucket list request. Something we know we're not getting at launch, but we'd like to see maybe a little bit after launch. And that is PvP. Now look, I know what you're saying. Oh god, I can't believe you mentioned that. PvP can bring with it a lot of toxicity. However, it can also make things a lot of fun. And I gotta say, the combat in this game is snappy, concise, and quick. And with the powers, I think 4v4 or even 3v3 matches would be a lot of fun with other players. So we'd love to see some sort of multiplayer versus experience. You could even do something where the two teams are fighting over a heavy loot drop for their characters or something along those lines, which could even build it into the storyline a little bit, which would be really exciting. And again, I think that the way these powers work in concert, the way they work with other people, I think a multiplayer PvP would be a lot of fun. And we know we're not getting it at launch, but man, we'd love to see it a little bit after. Also, I do want to point out that suggestion, while I think it was echoed by myself, comes from Filthy Phil from the Discord. Another one that comes directly at us from Filthy Phil is the next one we're going to talk about. And this is a little bit more technical, and man do I echo it, because man was it irritating in the game. And that would be no more co-op voting. So number 2 is no more co-op voting, and the reason is this. Basically, every time you go into a new map area, every time you go to do a mission, a little thing pops up on your screen and gives every player the option to vote as to whether they want to do it or not. Look, if you don't want to do it with if you're playing with randos and you want to do it, back out, find some new randos. If you're with people, then you should all be on the same page of where you're going. This voting thing is just dumb. It's dumb and it's outdated, especially for a game like this. So I would much rather that be gone. It just doesn't need to be there. The person who's initiating the mission should just initiate the mission, and then if a person wants to back out, they can back out. So let's get rid of that co-op voting and makes things snappier. I mean, plus, often the voting thing does not notify you really well. It just kind of pops up in a place that already has writing, so it's very easy to miss. So a lot of times you can get timed out that way, and even when everybody clicks it, there's this kind of waiting period as everybody has to click it, and it just makes everything slow in a game that's really snappy and fun and fast otherwise. So yeah, number 2, let's dump that co-op voting. Number 3 is one from me as well as Philbilly330, Foundation member, and that is an important one, and it is number 3. We want more character customization options. Philbilly would love to see it as something you can earn later on in game, especially since you can completely change the look of your character down to the gender of the character mid-game. Myself, I want more options in the beginning. I'm hopefully going to get that, but they haven't actually confirmed it. I mean, the demo you would think would be a little bit pared down on the customization, but there really isn't a ton of options in the beginning. They don't even have the mutton chops. I always have mutton chops on my character or a mutton stash, and they didn't have anything. So I want to see more character options. They only really had 10, 11 of each type of thing. And I just like to see more character customization. I really want to be able to build out a character that looks completely different from another one, and even looks like me. And I like character creators. I like character creators. Don't get me wrong, I don't need to mess with their bulge size, but I definitely want a better, more in-depth character customization suite. Hopefully we get it, fingers crossed that it was just dumbed down for the demo, but they haven't really said one way or another on that subject, so I got to put it in here. Alright, we're tearing through these. Let's hit number 4. Number 4 is kind of an important one as well, but a little bit more fun. This one we definitely don't have confirmed. I don't know how valid it's going to be, but man, I'd love to see it. And that would be a color customization slider on your pieces of armor that you get. You can change the hue and color of the main pieces of armor you get. Don't get me wrong, I understand the style of the armor that you're getting is whatever it is, but I really do want to see me be able to trick out that to the color that I want, and I think that's really cool. This is another one that kind of came from Philbilly330 as well, and I completely echo it. It's a great one. I do want to point out Warframe. One of the coolest things about Warframe, another looter shooter, is you can customize literally the color of every piece of weapon or armor that you have on any frame that you end up getting. I want to see something like that here. I love the idea of making everything you've got uniform, and I love the idea of really being able to play with the colors instead of just getting the stock stuff you get. Alright, so that brings us to number 5. Number 5 is just me, ladies and gentlemen. It's just me, and it is 100% bucket list request, and it is 100% not coming at launch, but I want to see this in DLC, and I want to see it early. And that is more classes. Look, this is the fun one. Everybody wants to see more classes. I want to see more classes in this. Don't just give us story content. Hey, that's great. I like it, but I want more ways to create a character. I had so much fun creating a character in this that I created multiple characters. I really want a chance to create even more characters, to build out different things, to build out different powers, different combos. And one thing People Can Fly has proved they can do from this demo is really put an interesting group of powers and abilities with your character, with each class. Like even the classes I didn't necessarily like had really cool, powerful abilities that kind of feed into that power trip feeling, and it just made for some really awesome moment-to-moment gameplay. And all it did was leave me wanting more, especially since some of the ones they have there don't really interest me. Even though they're good and they work well, there's just something about them that I find either boring or uninteresting. So I'd love to see some more classes, some more wild classes. I'd love to see a Beastmaster class of some sort, something along those lines, maybe even a telepathic or telekinetic ability power. I'd love to see the electricity. You actually fight a guy in the demo. I'd love to see some of the electrical powers from that guy put into a character class. I just love to see more character classes in this game, and I really hope, obviously they haven't confirmed DLC in any way, shape, or form, but I really hope that if we do get DLC, and this is popular, fingers crossed, that we get a whole slew of character classes to play in this. It's something that I find really fun. It's something that gives more build diversity, and it makes it fun for everybody involved, I think. So yeah. So with that, that's all of our 5 right there. I do want to just put down a couple of honorable mentions. Number 1, the cinematic camera is really shaky. I think Philbilly330 put it when we were talking that it looks like the person filming whatever's going on is just scared to be in the room. And that's true. I actually even went back into the game just to watch some cutscenes, just to get a feel of whether or not that works. And that is the way it is, and it definitely is. We'd love to see that a little bit more smoother. The other thing I'd like to see is with the level design, there was a couple of mentions of level design, some more interesting level design. I didn't put it on this list because we got a demo, and it's only 4 hours, so I feel like we're going to get more interesting level design from the rest of the game. I mean, this is a 40-hour game. We're seeing 3 hours of it. I think that the level design that we're fighting through right now is just the area that we're in. So that's why I didn't put that on the list. Nonetheless, I'd love to see more, and so would the community. In addition to that, with that level design, I personally would like to see a little bit smarter of the level design. There are a few places where, like, it looks like you can climb a ladder and you can't climb a ladder. It looks like you can go into a room and you very obviously can't go into a room. There's a lot of places where you're suddenly stopped by invisible walls, and I don't like invisible walls. So I'd like that to be a little bit better moving forward. One last honorable mention. You cannot jump in the game. You can mantle some things, and it is very hard to understand what you can jump and slide over, what you can hop up onto, and what you can't. And sometimes it gets you killed in situations. Love to see a jump button, or at least a more consistent a measurement of what you can jump over, what you can't, that sort of thing. It's one of the problems with any one of these games that just doesn't have a jump mechanic in it, is you can't get over things. One thing that bothers me too is you have a B button for evading. You could very easily make that jump when, or mantle in certain places. And he even does step up or slide over things when you press the B button. It's just, why not have that most things? So I don't know. The clipping and the texture stuff on that is a little bit sloppy. I'd like that cleaned up. Again, not worth making the list. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's another episode down. That's 5 things we want to see in the Outriders full release. Hopefully you guys agree with us. If you don't, or you want to see something added, please comment below, and on our next 5 things show, I'll make sure to read them out loud. Until then, you can reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link is in the description below. You can influence this and all of our shows from there. And as usual, as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. See you guys next week.